The great hall of the Galactic Council fell silent as the main screen lit up. 12 alien leaders sat around a large round table, their eyes fixed on the image that now filled the giant display. What they saw made even the bravest among them shift uncomfortably in their seats. "What is that?" asked Zorax, the representative of the Vexari Empire, his 4 eyes blinking rapidly in succession. The image showed a massive black ship moving slowly through space. It was unlike anything the Council had ever seen before. Next to the known measurement markers, it looked impossibly large. High Counselor Thela, a tall blue-skinned alien with delicate silver patterns across her face, leaned forward. "Our border patrols detected this vessel entering Council space 6 hours ago. It has not responded to standard identification requests." "How big is it?" asked Krill, the representative of the warrior Draxid race. His thick armored skin tensed as he studied the screen. "It is approximately 5 kilometers in length," replied the Council's military advisor, General Mox. The small, gray-skinned alien stood rigidly beside the main display. "That makes it nearly 10 times larger than our largest battleships." A wave of murmurs spread through the chamber. For thousands of years, the Galactic Council had maintained peace among the 12 most powerful spacefaring civilizations. They had never encountered a ship of this size or design. It was sleek despite its enormity, with a surface that seemed to absorb light rather than reflect it. "What do our scans tell us?" asked Zorax, his voice betraying a hint of fear. General Mox tapped a series of controls and new data appeared on the screen. "That's another concerning matter. Our scans show energy readings unlike anything in our databases. The power core of this vessel could either represent incredibly efficient technology or—" He paused dramatically. "Or weapons capability beyond our comprehension." The chamber erupted in voices, each representative trying to speak over the others. Some demanded immediate military action, while others called for caution. High Counselor Thela raised her hand and the room gradually fell silent. "We must not act rashly. We have no evidence of hostile intent." "No evidence?" Krill slammed his fist on the table. "Its very existence is evidence. No peaceful civilization builds a ship of that size." "I agree with Krill," said Zorax. "We should mobilize our combined fleets as a precaution." General Mox nodded in agreement. "I've already placed our nearest battle groups on high alert. They can intercept this Colossus within 12 hours. "Colossus?" questioned Thela. "Yes, that's what our monitoring stations have named it," replied the general. "Quite fitting given its size." Thela stood up slowly, her tall frame towering over the other representatives. "Before we commit to any military action, we should attempt communication. This could be a first contact situation. Or it could be the prelude to an invasion," countered Krill. The chamber's door slid open, and a younger blue-skinned alien rushed in, heading straight for General Mox. They spoke in hushed tones before the general turned to address the council again. "We have an update. The vessel has changed course. It's now heading directly toward Centauri Station, our primary diplomatic outpost." The tension in the room became almost palpable. Centauri Station was not only a diplomatic hub, but also home to over 50,000 civilians from various council races. "This is no longer a matter for debate," said Krill, standing up to his full height. "We must intercept this vessel before it reaches the station." Thela raised her hand again. "I understand your concern, Krill, but consider this. If this truly is a hostile force capable of building such a ship, wouldn't they have attacked already? The fact that they're heading to a diplomatic outpost might suggest peaceful intentions. Or they're targeting our civilian population to make a statement," argued Zorax. General Mox cleared his throat. "There's something else. We've detected unusual activity from the ship. It appears to be broadcasting." "Broadcasting what?" asked Thela. "It seems to be transmitting on all standard frequencies. Not encrypted, not focus beams, just open broadcasts." "Can we hear it?" asked Thela. General Mox tapped more controls and suddenly strange sounds filled the council chamber. It was unlike any language the council members had heard before. The sounds had patterns clearly indicating intelligence, but none of their translation systems could make sense of it. "They're trying to communicate," said Thela, her voice soft with wonder. "Or confuse our defenses," countered Krill. "I propose a middle path," said Shin, the representative of the scientifically advanced Lorikai Collective, speaking for the first time. "We send a small diplomatic team to meet them before they reach Centauri Station. But we also position our defense fleet nearby, hidden and ready to act if needed." The council members looked at each other, considering this option. "I support Shin's proposal," said Thala. "We show both caution and openness." One by one, the representatives voiced their agreement, some more reluctantly than others. "Very well," said General Mox. "I'll prepare a diplomatic vessel and a cloaked defense squadron. We should be able to intercept them in 6 hours." As the meeting adjourned, the image of the massive black ship remained on the screen. Its sleek form seemed to glide through space with an unsettling grace, defying its enormous size. Thala remained in her seat, staring at the image long after the others had left. In her thousands of years of life, she had never seen anything like this ship. Its very existence challenged everything the Council thought they knew about spacefaring technology. "High Counselor," General Mox had returned, finding her still seated at the table. "The diplomatic team is preparing to depart. Will you be joining them?" Thala turned her gaze from the screen to the general. "Yes, I will lead this mission personally." The general looked surprised. "Is that wise? If this turns hostile, then the Council will need someone with first-hand information to make the right decisions," she interrupted. "Besides, if this truly is a first contact, it should be handled at the highest level." General Mox nodded reluctantly. "As you wish. The ship will be ready in 1 hour." As Thala prepared for the mission, she couldn't shake the feeling that the arrival of this mysterious vessel marked a turning point for the Galactic Council. For too long, they had believed themselves to be the pinnacle of civilization in this part of the galaxy. The Colossus challenged that belief by its mere existence. 6 hours later, Thala stood on the bridge of the Council's diplomatic vessel, the Harmony, as it approached the mysterious ship. Up close, the Colossus was even more impressive and terrifying. Its black surface seemed to bend light around it, making it difficult to focus on any particular detail. "We're receiving a transmission from the vessel," announced the communications officer. Thala took a deep breath. "Put it through." The strange sounds they had heard in the council chamber filled the bridge again, but this time, they were accompanied by visual data, mathematical equations, and simple pictographic representations. "They're trying to establish a common language framework," said the ship's linguist, excitement clear in his voice. "This is definitely a first contact protocol." Thala felt a mix of relief and apprehension. "Respond with our standard first contact package. Let's see if we can find common ground." As the two ships hung in space, separated by mere kilometers, information flowed back and forth. The first meeting between humanity and the Galactic Council had begun, and the universe would never be the same. Captain Elena Reyes stood tall on the bridge of the ESS Colossus, Earth's first intergalactic diplomatic vessel. The bridge was a large circular room with workstations arranged in concentric rings, all facing the massive view screen that dominated the front wall. The screen currently showed a small, sleek ship approaching them. "That's definitely not human design," said Commander Jackson, her first officer. "I think we've finally found them, Captain. Actual aliens." Elena nodded, her dark eyes fixed on the approaching vessel. After centuries of space exploration, humanity had spread throughout their solar system and beyond, building colonies on distant planets and moons. But in all that time, they had never encountered another intelligent species. Many had begun to wonder if they were alone in the universe. Until now. "Are they still receiving our transmission?" Elena asked. "Yes, Captain," replied Lieutenant Chen from the communication station. "They've been receiving our first contact package for the past 30 minutes. They've sent some data in return, but our computers are still working on translation." The first contact package contained basic mathematical principles, simple images of humans and Earth, and recordings of various human languages. It was humanity's way of saying, "Hello, we come in peace to the stars." "Any response from Earth Command?" Elena asked. Commander Jackson shook his head. "Not yet. Given the distance, we won't hear from them for at least another 12 hours. Elena understood what that meant. She was on her own for this historic moment. The Colossus had been sent out as humanity's ambassador to the stars, and now that mission was becoming a reality sooner than anyone had expected. "Captain," called out Lieutenant Chen, excitement in his voice. "Our translation software is starting to make sense of their language." Elena moved to his station, looking over his shoulder at the symbols flashing across his screen. "How long until we can communicate?" "Basic communication should be possible within the hour," he replied. "Their language structure isn't too dissimilar from some Earth languages." "Good," said Elena. Keep working on it. I want to be able to talk to them as soon as possible. She returned to the center of the bridge, studying the alien ship on the view screen. It was beautiful in its own way, sleek and silver, with graceful curves that suggested advanced engineering. But it was also tiny compared to the Colossus. The Colossus was massive by necessity, not choice. When humanity decided to build their first diplomatic vessel, they faced unique challenges. They didn't know what kind of aliens they might encounter, or what environments they might need to recreate, so they built a ship that could handle anything. The Colossus contained sections with various gravity levels, different atmospheric compositions, and even areas that could be flooded with water or other liquids. It housed Earth's diverse diplomatic corps, with representatives from all human cultures and specialties. It contained self-sustaining ecosystems, research laboratories, and cultural exhibits showcasing the best of humanity. "Captain," Lieutenant Chen called out again. "They're sending a more complex transmission. I think they want to establish visual communication." Elena straightened her uniform, a simple dark blue outfit with silver trim, designed to look formal but non-threatening. "Put it on screen." The view screen flickered, and suddenly Elena found herself looking at a blue-skinned, humanoid alien with delicate silver patterns on its face. The alien's large almond-shaped eyes widened visibly at the sight of Elena. "Greetings," Elena said, speaking slowly and clearly. "I am Captain Elena Reyes of the Earthship Colossus. We come in peace." The alien spoke, and after a brief delay, the ship's computer translated, "I am High Counselor Thela of the Galactic Council. Your arrival has caused great interest among our peoples." Elena noticed the hesitation. "I hope we haven't alarmed you. Our mission is peaceful, to explore and establish diplomatic relations." The alien, Thela, seemed to relax slightly. "Your ship is quite large. Our initial scan suggested it might be a vessel of war." Elena couldn't help but smile. "The Colossus is a diplomatic ship. Its size allows us to accommodate many different environments and to house representatives from all human cultures." "Human cultures?" Thela repeated. "Are there many of you?" "We are one species, humans, but we have many different cultures, languages, and ways of life," Elena explained. "Our ship is designed to represent all of humanity." Thela's expression was difficult to read, but she seemed intrigued. "The Galactic Council would like to formally welcome you to Council Space. With your permission, I would like to come aboard your vessel to discuss further diplomatic relations." Elena felt a surge of excitement. This was exactly what the Colossus had been built for. "We would be honored to receive you, High Counselor. Our docking bay can accommodate your ship." After making arrangements for the docking, Elena turned to her crew. "Prepare to receive our guests. First contact protocol is now in effect." The bridge crew nodded, their faces a mixture of excitement and nervousness. They had trained for this moment, but nothing could truly prepare them for humanity's first meeting with an alien civilization. 2 hours later, Elena stood in the Colossus's main docking bay, watching as the airlock doors opened. Beside her stood Commander Jackson and Dr. Lee, the ship's chief xenobiologist. Behind them waited a small honor guard and several diplomats, all humans chosen for their calm demeanor and experience. Through the airlock walked Thela, followed by several other aliens of different species. Elena was immediately struck by their diversity. Besides the blue-skinned Thela, there was a small gray alien with large black eyes, a tall reptilian being with scales that shimmered in the light, and what appeared to be a floating mass of tentacles surrounding a central eye. "Welcome aboard the ESS Colossus," Elena said, bowing slightly. "I am honored to meet you in person, High Counselor Thela." Thela returned the gesture. "The honor is ours, Captain Reyes. Allow me to introduce General Mox." She indicated the small gray alien, Ambassador Krill, the reptilian being, and Scientific Advisor Shin, the floating tentacled creature. Elena introduced her own team, noticing how the aliens studied each human with intense curiosity. She also noticed that they seemed surprised, almost disappointed by the human's appearance. "Is something wrong?" she asked. Thela hesitated before replying. "We expected. Given the size and power of your ship, General Mox was less tactful. We expected you to be more impressive physically. Your species seems quite fragile." Commander Jackson tensed beside her, but Elena remained calm. "Appearances can be deceiving, General. Humans have survived and thrived on a planet with many dangers. We've learned to use our intelligence to overcome physical limitations. Fascinating, said the tentacled Shin. Its voice translated as a soft melodic sound. Your species prioritized brain development over physical adaptation? In a manner of speaking, Elena replied. But we're not here to discuss evolutionary biology. We're here to establish peaceful relations between humanity and the Galactic Council. Yes, of course, Thala said smoothly. We would be interested in learning more about your civilization, and particularly about this remarkable vessel. Elena smiled. I'd be happy to give you a tour. The Colossus was designed to showcase human achievement and to serve as a bridge between cultures. As they began walking through the vast corridors of the ship, Elena noticed the aliens' growing amazement. The Colossus was a marvel of human engineering, with sections dedicated to different Earth environments, from tropical rainforests to Arctic tundras. It housed laboratories, living quarters for thousands of crew members, and cultural exhibits displaying art, music, and literature from across human history. This ship is not what we expected, Thala admitted as they entered a massive central atrium filled with plants from Earth. We assumed it was a warship due to its size and unusual energy signature. The energy signature comes from our propulsion system, Elena explained. It allows us to travel faster than light without requiring enormous amounts of energy. General Mox's eyes narrowed. Such technology could easily be adapted for weapons. It could, Elena acknowledged, but that's not its purpose. The Colossus carries minimal defensive systems, only what's necessary to protect ourselves from natural hazards like asteroids or solar flares. The reptilian Krill seemed skeptical. No species builds a ship this size merely for diplomacy. What is your true purpose here? Elena met his gaze steadily. Our purpose is exactly what I've stated. To explore the galaxy and establish peaceful contact with other intelligent species. The Colossus is large because it needs to be. It's designed to be self-sufficient for years at a time, and to accommodate a wide range of potential environmental needs. I believe you, said Shin. Its tentacles waving gently. The ship's design is inefficient for warfare but perfectly adapted for extended exploration and diplomacy. As they continued the tour, Elena could see the aliens' perception of humanity slowly changing. They had arrived expecting to find a warlike species with a terrifying battleship. Instead, they found humans, physically unimposing but technologically advanced, with a ship designed for peace rather than war. By the end of the tour, even the suspicious General Mox seemed more at ease. Your species is not what we anticipated, he admitted. But I still have questions about your propulsion system and energy sources. And we'll answer them all in time, Elena promised. This is just the Galactic Council chamber fell silent as Captain Elena Reyes entered. The room was enormous, with a high domed ceiling covered in moving star patterns. In the center stood a round table with 12 ornate chairs, each occupied by a representative of a different alien species. Behind them stood various advisors and guards, all watching the human delegation with curious or suspicious eyes. The ESS Colossus had arrived at the Council's central meeting place 6 hours ago. The massive human ship now orbited the artificial planet that served as the Council's headquarters, its size making it visible even from the surface with the naked eye. Captain Elena Reyes of Earth, announced High Counselor Thala, welcome to the Galactic Council. Elena bowed slightly, her dark uniform standing in stark contrast to the colorful robes worn by most of the Council members. Thank you for your welcome, High Counselor. It is an honor to stand before this assembly. The honor may be premature, growled Krill, the reptilian representative. His scales glistened under the chamber's lights as he leaned forward. We have many questions about your people and your ship. I understand, Elena replied calmly, and I'm here to answer them. Zorax, a four-eyed alien with purple skin, spoke next. Our initial scans indicated your vessel might be a weapon of war. High Counselor Thala has informed us that you claim otherwise, but we remain concerned. Elena had expected this. The aliens' reaction to the Colossus had been clear from the beginning, fear disguised as diplomatic caution. The Colossus is not a warship, she said firmly. It is a diplomatic vessel, designed to explore and establish peaceful contact with other civilizations. Then why is it so large? Demanded Krill. No peaceful ship needs to be 5 kilometers long. Elena smiled slightly. Size in this case serves practical purposes. The Colossus contains environments suitable for many different life forms, allowing us to host visitors with various atmospheric and gravity needs. It houses Earth's diplomatic corps, which includes representatives from all human nations and cultures, and it contains self-sustaining ecosystems, ensuring we can travel for extended periods without resupply. Shin, the floating tentacled being who served as the Council's scientific advisor, moved forward. Your approach to ship design is unusual. Most Council species prioritize efficiency and specialization. Your vessel seems designed for adaptability and redundancy instead. That's an accurate assessment, Elena acknowledged. Humans have always valued flexibility and backup systems. We didn't know what we might encounter in deep space, so we prepared for as many possibilities as we could imagine. A reasonable approach, admitted Shin, its tentacles waving thoughtfully. But it doesn't explain the unusual energy readings we detected. Your ship produces power in ways our sensors cannot fully comprehend. This was the heart of the matter, Elena knew. The Council wasn't just concerned about the size of the Colossus. They were worried about its technology. The energy readings come from our propulsion and gravity control systems, she explained. Humans discovered a way to manipulate space-time that requires relatively little energy input while producing significant effects. It's what allows a ship as large as the Colossus to move efficiently through space. The Council members exchanged glances. Such technology could easily be weaponized, said General Mox, who stood behind Thala's chair. Elena nodded. It could be, yes. Many technologies can be used for both peaceful and military purposes. But that's not why we developed it, and that's not how we use it. Krill slammed his scaled hand on the table. Words, just words. How can we trust that your species won't use this technology against us? We need proof of your peaceful intentions. The chamber grew tense. Several council guards moved their hands closer to their weapons. Elena remained calm. What proof would satisfy you, Representative Krill? I demand an inspection, Krill said. A full examination of your vessel by council engineers and security forces. If you truly have nothing to hide, you will agree. Elena considered this request. It wasn't unexpected. In fact, she had been authorized to allow limited inspections if necessary. I would be willing to permit an inspection team aboard the Colossus, with some reasonable restrictions to protect our crew's privacy and our proprietary technologies. This offer seemed to surprise the council members. They had clearly expected resistance. A reasonable compromise, said Thala before Krill could object. We will assemble an inspection team immediately. 3 hours later, Elena led a group of 20 alien engineers, scientists, and security personnel through the corridors of the Colossus. The inspection team had been divided into smaller groups, each accompanied by human guides. But Elena had chosen to personally escort the most senior officials. This section houses our main propulsion control, she explained as they entered a large circular room filled with holographic displays and control panels. From here we can monitor and adjust the space-time manipulation field that drives the ship. Shin floated toward the central control station, its tentacles hovering just above the surface without touching anything. Fascinating. Your interface design is surprisingly intuitive. Humans value user-friendly systems, Elena said with a smile. Our technology is designed to be easily understood and operated. General Mock studied the displays with narrowed eyes. These readouts, they suggest your ship is capable of manipulating gravity fields with extreme precision. That's correct, Elena confirmed. Gravity control is essential for a multi-environment vessel like the Colossus. Different species may require different gravity levels for comfort. But such control could also be used to create devastating weapons, Mox pointed out. A precisely focused gravity field could tear enemy ships apart or crush planetary defenses. Elena met his gaze steadily. It could, but that's not its purpose. Just as a kitchen knife can be used to prepare food or to harm someone, many technologies have dual potential. It's the intent and the application that matters. The inspection continued, with the alien team examining various systems throughout the ship. Elena noticed that while they began with suspicion, many of them gradually shifted to curiosity and even admiration as they saw more of the Colossus. In the Environmental Control Center, Shin spent nearly an hour studying the systems that maintained different atmospheres and temperatures in various parts of the ship. Your approach is wasteful by our standards, the tentacled scientist commented. You maintain 26 different environments simultaneously, even though your crew only requires one. The environments aren't just for the crew, Elena explained. They're for potential visitors and diplomatic guests. We wanted to be prepared to host any species comfortably. A considerate approach, Shin admitted, though highly inefficient. Efficiency isn't always the highest priority, Elena said. Sometimes adaptability matters more. As they moved to the power generation section, Krill became increasingly agitated. The reptilian representative had insisted on joining the inspection, despite not being a technical expert. These power readings make no sense, he growled, looking at the monitoring stations. Your ship generates far more energy than should be possible with reactors of this size. That's because we don't rely solely on conventional reaction mass, Elena explained. Our scientists discovered a way to tap into the energy potential of space-time itself. We don't create energy so much as channel it from the fabric of the universe. This revelation caused a stir among the inspection team. Even General Mox looked startled. Such technology should be impossible, said Shin. The theoretical principles have been discussed in council scientific circles, but no one has successfully implemented them. Humans have always been good at turning theory into practice, Elena said, trying not to sound boastful. Our history is full of scientific breakthroughs that were once considered impossible. Krill's eyes narrowed to slits. This only confirms my suspicions. Your ship isn't just large, it's far more powerful than you've admitted. The Colossus could easily serve as a first-strike weapon against the Council. Elena sighed. She had hoped the inspection would ease tensions, not inflame them. Representative Krill, if we wanted to attack the Council, we would have done so already. The fact that we're here, openly sharing our technology and allowing this inspection, should prove our peaceful intentions, perhaps, said General Mox. Or perhaps you're simply confident in your technological superiority. The atmosphere grew tense again. Helena could see that some of the inspection team were backing away, their hands moving toward weapons or communication devices. Before she could respond, an alarm sounded throughout the ship. Elena's communicator activated, displaying Commander Jackson's face. Captain, we have an emergency situation, he reported. We're receiving distress signals from a nearby system. A star is showing signs of imminent supernova, threatening an inhabited planet. Elena's focus immediately shifted from diplomacy to crisis management. How much time do we have? The star could go critical within 12 hours, Jackson replied. The planet's population is nearly 2 million. But according to the distress signal, they don't have enough ships for a full evacuation. Elena turned to the alien inspection team, who were listening to the exchange with obvious interest. Do you know anything about this situation? General Mox Nogan. The Colossus dropped out of faster-than-light travel at the edge of the Proxima Centauri system. On the main view screen of the bridge, a terrifying sight greeted Captain Elena Reyes and the Council representatives who had remained aboard. A star in the final stages of collapse, its surface roiling with massive solar flares and ejections of superheated plasma. Status report? Elena demanded. Her voice calm despite the gravity of the situation. The star's core is becoming increasingly unstable, reported Science Officer Dr. Patel. At current progression, we have approximately 10 hours before supernova. Elena turned to General Mox and High Counselor Thala, who stood nearby. What's the status of the colony? Mox's gray face looked grim. Proxima Colony has a population of 1.8 million. They have ships capable of evacuating perhaps 200,000 people in the time remaining. So over 1.6 million will die without intervention, Elena said, stating the cold fact that everyone was thinking. Yes, Thala admitted. The Council's evacuation fleet cannot arrive in time. It is a tragic situation, but one we must accept. Elena's expression hardened. No, I don't accept it. She turned to her communications officer. Lieutenant Chen, open a channel to the colony. Let them know help has arrived and to continue evacuation efforts. Captain, interrupted Commander Jackson. Are you sure about this? The shield generators were never tested for something of this magnitude. They'll hold, Elena said with quiet confidence. They have to. She turned back to the Council representatives. We need to coordinate our efforts. The Colossus will position itself between the star and the colony planet. We'll deploy our shield generators to contain the initial blast wave long enough for your people to evacuate. Shin, who had insisted on staying aboard to observe human technology in action, floated forward. Such an effort would require energy fields of unprecedented strength. The radiation alone would be— We're aware of the risks, Elena cut in, but the Colossus was built with redundant systems and multiple layers of protection. We can do this. General Mock studied her with new respect. You would risk your ship and crew for a council colony? Why? Because we can help, Elena replied simply. That's reason enough. She turned back to the bridge crew. Navigation, plot a course that will position us optimally between the star and the colony planet. Engineering, begin power-up sequence for the shield generators. Medical, prepare for potential casualties. The bridge erupted into efficient activity as her orders were carried out. Elena noticed the council representatives watching with growing amazement as the human crew worked together seamlessly, each person knowing their role in this dangerous mission. Your crew doesn't seem surprised by these orders, Thala observed. Elena allowed herself a small smile. The Colossus was designed for first contact and diplomatic missions, yes, but it was also built to handle emergencies and provide humanitarian aid. This is what we trained for. As the massive ship moved deeper into the system, approaching the dying star, Elena could see the colony planet on the secondary displays. A blue-green world not unlike Earth, with millions of lives hanging in the balance. I need to address the crew, she told her first officer. Commander Jackson nodded and activated the ship-wide communication system. All hands, this is the captain. Elena took a deep breath. Crew of the Colossus, we face a critical situation. The star Proxima Centauri is about to go supernova, threatening a council colony world with 1.8 million inhabitants. We are the only ship capable of saving those lives. She paused, letting her words sink in. We will position ourselves between the star and the planet, deploying our shield generators to contain the initial blast. This will be the first real-world test of our technology at this scale. Another pause. I won't lie to you, this mission carries significant risk. But this is why we built the Colossus, why we left Earth to explore the stars, not just to meet new civilizations, but to help them when they need us most. Today we have a chance to show the Galactic Council what humanity truly stands for. Captain Ray is out. She turned to find the council, representatives staring at her. Your words suggest this was the purpose of your ship all along, said Thala. Yet you told us it was built for diplomacy. It was, Elena confirmed. But true diplomacy isn't just about talking. It's about helping. The design features that allow the Colossus to serve as a diplomatic vessel, its size, power generation, and adaptability, also make it perfect for crisis response. General Mox shook his head in apparent disbelief. We assumed those features were for show or potential military applications. We never considered that they might be exactly what we said they were, Elena finished for him. Just designed to serve multiple purposes efficiently? Before Mox could respond, the science officer called out, Captain, we're detecting another surge in the star's core. The collapse is accelerating. Time estimate? Elena demanded. New projection suggests less than 6 hours to critical failure, Dr. Patel reported grimly. Elena made an instant decision. Engineering, maximum power to engines. Get us into position now. Inform the colony to accelerate evacuation efforts. The Colossus surged forward, its massive engines pushing the enormous vessel faster than should have been possible for something its size. The council representatives had to grab onto nearby railings to steady themselves. Remarkable acceleration, muttered Shin, its tentacles waving with excitement despite the dangerous situation. Your inertial dampening systems must be operating at incredible efficiency. They are, Elena confirmed. Another example of technology we developed not for war, but for practical space travel. 3 hours later, the Colossus had reached its designated position between the dying star and the colony planet. From the bridge, Elena could see the star filling most of the view screen, its surface churning with apocalyptic fury. Shield generators at full power, reported the chief engineer over the comm system. Ready to deploy on your command, Captain? Elena nodded. Deploy shields. For a moment, nothing seemed to happen. Then, from multiple points along the massive hull of the Colossus, brilliant blue-white energy began to flow. The energy streams expanded outward, connecting and merging into an enormous disk that positioned itself between the ship and the star. Shield integrity at 100%, reported the engineer. Energy flow stable. Elena turned to the communications officer. Status of the evacuation? Colony reports approximately 250,000 evacuated so far. Lieutenant Chen replied. Their ships are making continuous runs to the far side of the system. Not enough, Elena said, doing the quick math. At this rate, they'll only evacuate about half the population before the star goes critical. She thought for a moment, then turned to her first officer. Commander Jackson, prepare our shuttles and transport ships. We're going to assist with the evacuation. All of them? Jackson asked, surprised. That would leave us with limited escape options if the shields fail. We're not going to need escape options, Elena said firmly. Because the shields aren't going to fail. Deploy all available ships to the surface. Priority to children and medical cases. As her orders were carried out, Elena noticed Thela watching her closely. You're committing fully to this rescue, the High Counselor observed. Even at great risk to your own vessel and crew. Yes, Elena said simply. Thela's expression was unreadable, but she nodded slowly. I misjudged your species, Captain Reyes, we all did. Before Elena could respond, an alarm sounded. Captain, called out Dr. Patel from the science station. The star's core is collapsing faster than predicted. We have less than 1 hour. Status of the evacuation? Elena demanded. Colony reports approximately 400,000 evacuated, replied Lieutenant Chen. Our shuttles have taken on another 50,000. Still not enough. Over 1 million people remained on the surface, facing certain death. Elena's mind raced through options. What if we expanded the shield? She asked the chief engineer. Could we extend it to cover the planet itself? There was a pause before the engineer replied. Theoretically, yes, but it would require redirecting power from all non-essential systems, including life support reserves. Do it, Elena ordered without hesitation. Captain, objected Commander Jackson, that would leave us extremely vulnerable if anything goes wrong. I'm aware of the risks, Commander, Elena replied. But we're not leaving 1 million people to die if we can help them. As the engineering team worked to reconfigure the shield generators, the council representatives huddled together, speaking in hushed tones. Finally, General Mox approached Elena. Captain Reyes, he said formally. The council representatives aboard wish to offer our assistance. Our ships may be small compared to yours, but they have technologies that might help stabilize your shield matrix. Elena was surprised by the offer. Thank you, General. We appreciate any help you can provide. For the next 30 minutes, human and alien engineers worked together, linking their technologies in ways never before attempted. The shield expanded gradually, stretching toward the planet in a protective umbrella of energy. Shield extension at 60%, reported the chief engineer. Power levels dropping, but still within acceptable parameters. On the view screen, Elena could see the massive energy field growing, a thin blue barrier between life and destruction. But she could also see the star becoming increasingly unstable. Its surface breaking apart as the core continued its terminal collapse. It's going to be close, she muttered. Then 3 weeks after the Proxima Centauri crisis, the ESS Colossus hung in space above the Galactic Council headquarters. The massive ship still showed signs of damage. Sections of its hull were blackened and some areas remained sealed off for repairs. But it had survived, as had the crew and the 1.8 million inhabitants of Proxima Colony. Captain Elena Reyes stood before a mirror in her quarters, adjusting her formal uniform. Today was a historic day. The Galactic Council had called an emergency session, and humanity was the sole item on the agenda. Her door chimed, and Commander Jackson entered. The shuttle is ready, Captain. The Council representatives are waiting to escort us. Elena nodded. How are the repairs progressing? Slowly but steadily, Jackson replied. Chief Engineer Rodriguez estimates another month before we're fully operational again. The shield generators took the worst damage. They weren't designed to contain a supernova. No, Elena agreed with a small smile. But they did it anyway. Just like this ship wasn't designed to make first contact with a galactic civilization and save one of their colonies in the same week, Jackson added. Yet here we are. Here we are indeed, Elena said, taking one last look at herself in the mirror. The events of the past 3 weeks had left their mark. There were new lines around her eyes and a small scar on her cheek from when she'd been thrown against a console during the crisis. But there was also a new confidence in her bearing. The Colossus had been tested in the most extreme conditions imaginable, and it had prevailed. Let's not keep the council waiting, she said, turning away from the mirror. The shuttle ride to the surface was quiet, with Elena lost in thought about what might happen in the council chamber. The alien representatives who had witnessed the Proxima rescue firsthand had been respectful, even friendly in the days since. But she knew that not all council members would share their perspective. As the shuttle landed at the council headquarters, Elena was surprised to see a large crowd gathered outside the building. Aliens of various species stood together, watching as she and her small delegation disembarked. Then, to her astonishment, they began to make different sounds, some applauding in ways similar to humans, others creating melodious tones or flashing bioluminescent patterns. "They're honoring you," explained Thala, who had come to escort them personally. News of what the Colossus did has spread throughout council space. Many of these beings have friends or relatives on Proxima Colony. Elena nodded, moved by the display. "Thank you for telling me." As they entered the council chamber, Elena was struck again by its grandeur. The massive domed room was filled to capacity, with representatives from all 12 council species seated at the central table, and hundreds of observers in the surrounding tiers. "High Counselor." Thala led Elena and her small team to a position in the center of the chamber. Unlike their previous visit, there were seats provided for them, a sign of respect that wasn't lost on Elena. "This emergency session of the Galactic Council is now in session," announced Thala, taking her place at the council table. "We are gathered to discuss the recent events at Proxima Centauri and to address the matter of humanity's relationship with the Council." She turned to Elena. "Captain Reyes, would you please share with the full Council your account of what transpired?" Elena stood and described the events clearly and simply: the detection of the imminent supernova, the decision to intervene, the deployment of the shields, and the successful evacuation. She was careful not to embellish or dramatize. The facts themselves were dramatic enough. When she finished, the chamber was silent for a long moment. Then Zorax, the four-eyed representative who had been so suspicious during their first meeting, spoke. "Captain Reyes, I must ask, when you made the decision to place your vessel between the star and our colony, did you believe the Colossus would survive?" Elena considered the question carefully. "I believed it was possible, but not certain. The shield technology had never been tested at that scale. But I also knew that if we didn't try, 1.8 million people would certainly die. So you risked your ship and your crew on an uncertain outcome to save beings you had never met, from a civilization that had treated you with suspicion." Zorax pressed. "Yes," Elena said simply. "That's what humans do. When we see others in danger and we have the ability to help, we help. It's fundamental to who we are." Another council member, a crystalline being named Lear that Elena hadn't met before, spoke next. "The technical data shared by those who witnessed these events is remarkable. Your vessel's shield technology, power generation systems, and structural design all represent significant advances over current council standards." "Thank you," Elena replied. "Earth has focused intensely on these technologies over the past century. Our scientists and engineers have worked tirelessly to overcome the challenges of deep space exploration. And yet you use these advanced technologies not for conquest or dominance, but for rescue and diplomacy," observed Lear, its crystalline form reflecting the chamber's lights in mesmerizing patterns. "That was always their purpose," Elena confirmed. "The Colossus was built to represent the best of humanity, our curiosity, our adaptability, and our desire to help others." General Mox, who had been quietly observing until now, stepped forward. "I was aboard the Colossus during the crisis. I witnessed firsthand not only the technological capabilities of the vessel, but the courage and determination of its crew. Captain Reyes committed every resource at her disposal to saving our colony, even at great risk to her own ship and people." He turned to address the full council. "I believe we have significantly misjudged humanity based on our own preconceptions. We saw the size of their ship and assumed aggression. We detected their advanced energy systems and assumed weapons. We were wrong on all counts." A murmur ran through the chamber at this admission from the normally cautious military leader. Krill, the reptilian representative who had been most hostile toward humanity, rose to speak next. Elena braced herself for another challenge. "I too was present during these events," Krill said, his scaled face unreadable, "and I too must acknowledge an error in judgment. When I first saw the human vessel, I assumed its size indicated a warlike species with expansionist ambitions. I demanded inspections and questioned their motives at every turn. He paused, and Elena was surprised to see what appeared to be genuine regret in his alien features. Yet when the moment of crisis came, Krill continued, these humans didn't hesitate to place themselves in danger to save beings they had just met. They committed their entire vessel, which we now understand is just the first of a planned diplomatic fleet, to protecting our colony. Elena felt a moment of tension at the mention of the planned fleet. That information had been shared during the early diplomatic discussions, but she had worried it might be misinterpreted in light of recent events. Krill turned to face her directly. My species values strength above all else, Captain Reyes. But today I have learned that there are many forms of strength. What your crew demonstrated at Proxima Centauri was strength of character, a quality my people would do well to emulate more often. High Counselor. Thela allowed the murmurs that followed this speech to continue for a moment, before raising her hand for silence. In light of these events and testimonies, I am calling for a vote on a matter of historic significance, she announced. For 300 years, the Galactic Council has maintained its membership at 12 species, chosen for their technological advancement, cultural stability, and territorial reach. Today, I propose that we offer membership to a 13th, humanity. A louder wave of murmurs and exclamations swept through the chamber. Elena herself was shocked. She had hoped for diplomatic recognition, perhaps trade agreements, but full council membership was beyond her expectations. Is this usual? She whispered to Commander Jackson, who stood beside her. I don't think anything about our first contact has been usual, Captain, he replied with a hint of a smile. The voting process was brief but formal, with each council representative stating their position clearly. To Elena's surprise, the vote was unanimous. All 12 members voted to offer humanity a seat on the council. As the result was announced, the chamber erupted in sounds of approval. Elena stood, stunned by the rapidity of events. Thela approached her, holding a small device that projected a holographic star chart. Captain Reyes, with this vote, humanity is formally recognized as the 13th member of the Galactic Council. This grants your species certain rights and responsibilities, which will be fully explained in the documentation we will provide. She handed Elena the device. This contains the official boundaries of Council space, including the territories claimed by each member species. As a new member, humanity will need to define its own territorial boundaries. Elena accepted the device with a respectful nod. Thank you, High Counselor. Earth will be honored to take its place among the Council members. However, I should note that I don't have the authority to formally accept membership on behalf of all humanity. That decision will need to be made by Earth's unified government. Of course, Thela said with understanding. We anticipated this. The offer of membership will remain open, while your leaders deliver.